Podcast with hosts Andrew Clark and Chris Emery. This is designed to be a discussion on all things life and faith. We hope this serves as a weekly resource and encouragement to you.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Bayview Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Andrew, joined as always by the esteemed Chris Emery.
Ooh, I like that one. We can roll with that one from now on. The esteemed.
The esteemed.
We need to have that added into the actual text of our podcast description.
Oh, I can't wait to hear what mine is.
Oh, you don't. Yeah, you got to hold on.
What's mine now? Yeah,
you got to hold on.
Oh, it's
now.
gonna be great.
So no, we're so glad to be with you each and every week. And somebody the other day was talking to me and just giving me ideas of they love the podcast, they listen on a weekly basis, and they love some of the things we do. Because we have kind of a wide variety. There's times where we kind of dive deep into some deep topics. There's other times where we have guests from other ministries. But something we've been doing recently is bringing some of our team members on because most of our listeners are probably associated to Bayview at some level. And so it's just been really cool doing that. Yeah. And so today we're excited. We have our, we can't say esteemed. We have, I know we're kind of.
There's so many options.
Yeah, so many.
The glorious, the fabulous. Anyway, we are so excited to have Kathleen. Here's the deal. I've always said Kathleen Peron, and that's not correct.
No.
It's Kathleen
Peron.
Mm-hmm. Here's why. I grew up with a family that we are all close friends, and they were Peron.
Yeah.
But it's spelled the same way.
Yeah.
So
Constant.
You're just a little more fancy. That's
I'm
what
very fancy. Yeah. We like to just confuse everybody. Yeah. It's like our
bougie.
Yeah.
Bougie. Yes, that word has now been used on the Bayview Podcast.
Did it?
So Kathleen Peron is with us. She is the director of the Bayview Childcare Center, and she's just a super cool part of our team. She's been with us for a while now. So kind of give everybody a little introduction. Obviously, we just gave your name. How long you been with us? Kind of what's your big picture? What do you do here?
Yeah, sounds good. Well, thanks for having me. I have been with Bayview. It's been about a year now, solely running this director position. I was here a couple years ago, worked side by side with Carly, and we did the co-directing together. I originally came to Bayview when my daughter started here in the preschool classroom. So she was about 2.5, and that was kind of our first introduction to Bayview. So I started as a parent, and then about 6 months in, Carly and I had a conversation about me coming on as a teacher. So I joined the preschool classroom and taught there for a while, and then through lots of conversations and my past experience with teaching, there was a great opportunity to mentor some of our staff here. So
very cool. Moved
into that position, and yeah, I really, really enjoy it. It's a good fit. I feel like it's just fun. It's different every day. And so coming back about a year now, in this director position, and yeah, it's great.
So you've really kind of experienced it at all phases, because you started out as one of the smiling, happy, exhausted parents coming through our doors every morning.
Yes.
That are wrangling children, backpacks, lunch boxes, snow gear.
All the things.
With a look on their face that says, I cannot check my kid in fast enough.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
As a parent who does that every day, I feel that. I feel that. It's like, I love you, but I'm so glad you're going to spend some time here today.
Yes. Oh, that's the best. I love telling parents that too. I'm like, please go run your errands, leave your kids with us. Absolutely pick up, bitter end, just leave them with us, because, it is. You need those moments to just be able to get those things done. So we're happy to provide that for sure.
That's so good.
Well, and that's one of the great things about what we're able to offer here through that. We viewed the Child Care Center as such an incredible open door into our community, because we have so many families, most of whom are not associated with our church. They're just looking for quality, premium childcare, and so they come in. So one of the things I know that we desired to offer from the beginning is a place that even when the parents walked in, they felt something different. They felt a warmth and a friendliness and a safety place for their kids. So describe for me, you came in as a parent dropping your daughter Harper off, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so what was that like just in those early days? What did you notice as you came in just as a parent?
I really think, right from the get-go, sitting down with Carly and just her intake information that she got on our family and kind of what our needs were and her warm presence. I mean, that was our first initial contact. And right there, took a deep breath and I was like, yes, this is where we need to be. I want her here. And then I think just every morning, every person that you came in contact with, they had a smile on your face. They were greeting you, a lot of times greeting you by name, which is huge. And I think we've continued that. And every time we're training staff or meeting in staff meetings, our connections and our relationships are number one. I mean, that's always a priority. So building that and making that, like I said, number one with our staff and greeting parents by name and children and all of that. So I really felt that the moment I walked in. I think we've continued that. I think the parents appreciate, seeing Rainey and you and Andrew in the mornings at the table, and you guys know the kids by names. And so we're just a big unit here. I mean, we all work really, really well together. It's not this separate of like daycare here, church here. I mean, we're one thing. We're one entity, and I think our families really feel that. We rope them into a lot of things that are happening at the church, and they really attend and show up for it. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, how have you felt that as a parent?
One of my favorite things as a parent bringing the kids is there is a sense, and I think you hit it, like that warmth, like maybe it's just the quality of staff or whatever it is, but there's been time and time again where it's like my wife or I feel like we drop off our kids. It's like, I wonder if we just like hang out for a minute, or like, I wonder, I'd hang out with that staff member. We'd hang out with them outside of this. And so there is like a friendliness and a connection that definitely comes across. And then, I think as a parent perspective, a big thing, and maybe you can speak this a little bit, is like, it is not just, you're not just watching the kids.
Right.
Like our son is 3, going to be 4. There's 1.5, almost 2. And like they're, and there's so much that goes with them just spending time with the kids, but like they are learning. And I think that's what is always mind blowing, like to see the change in, it's like, oh, I wish I could just be like, nah, they're my kids, so of course they're smart. It's like, no, it's like they're like genuinely like being taught, learning, growing at all the ages. And that's like something you guys really take serious.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's always been our priority, is offering that excellence level of care, safety, and then also that academic portion. So we really tap into that, especially once they hit our preschool classroom and once they so our building is set up where we're 2 different levels. So we have our infant toddler downstairs, and then upstairs we have our preschool. So once they get upstairs and hitting those preschool classrooms, we do quite a bit of academic portions. We have, obviously we follow a faith-based curriculum, and then we partner with a lot of the local schools here, especially with kindergarten teachers, to really see what kids are needing and what that school readiness level is. So yeah, they're doing it, and our teachers are doing it, and I'm so appreciative of the staff that we have. They're knocking it out of the park for sure.
I was included in an email that came in just a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
I think from one of our parents whose child is now in kindergarten, and the teacher of this child was just saying how far ahead he was. Like, wow, he knew much more than what anybody else needed to know at that stage. And I think it was just they were saying, hey, well done, Bayview.
Yeah.
Well done that it wasn't just babysitting. It wasn't just having fun. You were truly preparing our children for that next stage, which I know is a big part of what our core values are.
Yeah. We revisit that goal a lot throughout the year too, and pivot and manage how we need to. But we are in constant communication and educating ourselves and doing the research as to where kids seem to be and being ready for school. Yeah. So,
as a parent, I feel more than confident for like when Liam, our soon to be 4-year-old, when he transitions out here soon, where it's like, he's gonna be set. And so it's cool to see the mentality of like warmth, and it is a safe place. Like I don't question the safety, like we have, between the locks and the processes and all that stuff. It's like, I know my kids are safe here, but then to know like they're coming home each day and like they've learned. And so childcare in and of itself is a valuable, necessary thing in today's age, but to have it be paired with the educational side has been huge. And so, I think that's pretty incredible. So.
And a big part of what we do also is that then, as we talked about, there's the faith-based side of it, is that, these kids are also learning about who Jesus is, and they're learning about the Bible, and they're learning about, what it is that it means to believe in God and to follow Him. And I think that's so cool. It's in the little things. So I have, because I'm much older than either one of you, I have 2 grandkids here. So I have 2 grandsons here.
Crazy.
I know, shocker. I know I don't
Who'da
look
thought?
like I'm that much older. I understand.
Yeah.
But, just even at mealtime, watching my oldest one, Jace, he's got his prayer. You're going to pray for that meal. And I've heard parents come to us and be like, well, listen, we're not really church people. We don't really know much about God or the Bible, but our little kid or our little girl or little boy, they make us pray over every meal, and they keep talking about Jesus. And so many families have now come even into the church saying, I guess we need to hear about this for ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's been such a really cool thing, watching God use a 2, 3, 4-year-old child to kind of reach out to their family.
Mhm.
Just watching how, as Kathleen was saying, how there is that overlap. It's not the church and then the preschool. It's 2 separate entities. We're one big
Absolutely.
unit working together. And there's just so many families now that are super involved in the church. There's families that have just found something new going on in their life. They're staff members. I mean, you're a great example. I mean, you came in as a parent,
Right.
teacher.
Yeah.
You left us for a short stint because
I
you
did.
thought the grass was greener somewhere else, and you realized it was scorching brown and miserable. And you came back, hat in hand, like
I
Oliver
was,
Twist,
yes.
asking for more
I
gruel.
will
Might
fully
I
admit
have
that.
some more? Actually, it's crazy. I don't think you were here when all this went down.
Mm-mm.
But quick story is our preschool was founded by Carly Lafreniere.
Yes.
And just an incredible person, incredible legacy here. She just recently moved on into the public schools, but she was here for a lot of years with us, and this was her vision. Her blood, sweat, and tears are all over it. But when she was feeling it was that time to begin to move out of this director role. I was when I heard first heard it coming, I was stressed. But I think it was that exact morning that she told me this news, and out of the blue, you come walking through the front door.
I did.
I mean, totally out of the blue.
Wild.
I know. I was I was sitting at home, and I hadn't even knew kind of where my path was taking me yet, but I knew that being in education, being around children, that really brought so much like passion to my life. So I saw it posted again, and this was, I had a great opportunity the first time I was here. I enjoyed it thoroughly. So when I saw it posted, I was like, this is God pushing me to be like, walk back through that door, put your tail between your legs and walk back in. No, it never was like
it wasn't like that at all, because I believe as soon as you walked in, you barely got the words out of your mouth of, I think I'm supposed to come back.
Can I help? Right.
How
like, can I help?
Done. Hired.
Yes,
we're changing
know.
nameplates on the door at that moment.
Yes.
It was just a cool God thing. It really was.
Honestly, yes, absolutely.
Because, one of the things we talk about here so much is how much we value culture among our staff.
Yeah.
So there could be somebody that may want to come work with us here at Bayview, and they may have all the gifts and skills in the world, but if they're not going to be a cultural fit, then it's not going to work.
Right.
And you were someone that we already had such a really good, deep relationship with. We trusted you, we knew you, and you also were such a great culture fit. And it was just the way God was so far out ahead of us, as we've said before.
Yeah.
He's the great master chess player. He's 7 moves ahead all the time. I just remember that all in that short stretch of like not even a day, in a morning of feeling we're losing this director, a little bit of uncertainty. What do we do problem solved. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Kathleen's got it. Like within an hour.
I know.
It was totally crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And not that it's always easy. Not that
Right.
the job you do is simple. We certainly are in an environment here, at least where we are, and I don't think it's isolated to us. I think childcare is still in a bit of a crisis mode. There's an incredible shortage. Is that still the case out there?
Absolutely. I think the staffing part of it is always going to be something that will follow that trend, unfortunately. But I feel like, again, I feel like God's always provided. As many times as we've had to post a job or something, He's given us the right people and the people at that opportunity or the time or in their lives they needed Bayview for whatever reason. So I do feel like it's always been, it's always a stress, you carry and you bring on, but it's worked out. And I think what we've always been handed great staff and staff that we've learned things from, and what to do next time, or kind of what we're looking for. So for us, I feel like, and we have such a huge support system here. Like I said, because we're such a big entity, and I mean, it's never a feeling of like daycare. Like I can go to Chris, or I can go to Andrew or Rainey or whoever. If I have something that I'm like, I just need to talk it out. Like, what do I do in this scenario? Yeah. I can always turn to one of you guys. And I think that was the biggest thing of me coming back to, was like, I know I'm not doing this alone. As big as this job is, I've never felt I'm doing it alone. Yeah. And I have wonderful staff around me that are, everybody's always super supportive to each other, and to me, even I can lean on them when I need to, and kind of delegate. Yeah. So it's cool. Like, we're very lucky.
It is pretty cool, because like you sit in on staff meetings, and like you're a part of a lot of what's happening in the church as a whole. And so sure. I think you hit it there, where it's like it's the whole team is in it. And that was something when I first got to Bayview, I didn't quite understand. I was like, oh, it's the church, and there's a daycare here. Right. And very quickly I was like, oh, they're part of like the staff here. And so I think it's a great thing. And then to see the support and the ability to kind of work together. And I know like Ollie, who's our children's director, like she'll come do some teaching, and there's just all that little crossover that happens that I think is such a cool, it's got from a leadership perspective, you're using that word, kind of feeling supported. Have you found that's allowed you to maybe take risks, or I don't know what risks you take in daycare, but feel like you can maybe stretch the wings. Like,
let's try this.
But let's say stretch your leadership capacity, do things that you're like, oh, I know I can go and we can try this, or we can make this change, and it's not going to just all fall apart.
Yeah, I think that goes back to building that culture up front with your staff. I feel like we always constantly talk about that it's okay to make mistakes. Mm-hmm. We're all going to. Nobody's perfect. Mm-hmm. We are going to make mistakes, but we're going to support each other through it, and we're going to have grace, and we're going to do it with a kind heart, and all of that. So I think I always encourage my staff to like take those risks, try it. It's trial and error. That's what, the daycare world is constantly changing every single day. You never know what you're going to get. So if it doesn't work one day, pivot, try something different. If you need to come back to that plan, do that too. So I think in my scenario, because our staff has that mindset, I'm able to take some risks too, and even hand off and delegate responsibilities that are on my plate that I sometimes, there's obviously everybody has things that fall to the wayside. So if you're not able to get to those, I have been able to delegate to different staff members, which has been really, really helpful. So knowing that it's okay to take that risk and to just jump, and we'll all be there to catch you, and we'll all be there to support you. So
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's important, and that is something we talk about here, just within the larger staff, which you're a part of, and that is there is freedom to fail, because we learn through that. And we've always said that if you're not taking risks, then you're not going to experience victories. Mm-hmm. But if you're taking risks, you're going to experience failures, and that's totally fine as long as we learn and we grow through those.
Yep.
And so I think having that freedom to fail is a really big deal for all of us. And it goes back, I love what you said, it goes back to the fact that when I fail, I don't fail alone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's not the culture of most, like if we went to corporate America, so to speak. Typically out in the corporate world, you may find it more along the lines of, well, when I win, it's, everybody wins, or my boss wins. But when I fail, it's all on me. And that's not how we want to function here. It's the other way around. Man, when there's a victory, man, we're going to give mad props to that person that led the charge. We know that we're all, redirecting it back to God, but when we fail, we fail together.
Exactly.
And we're going to learn together. We're going to grow together. We're going to pick up the pieces together, and we're going to be better for it.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
And I think with childcare, no different than anywhere else, but certainly in childcare center, there's a learning curve. There's always, like you said, it's changing all the time. Mm-hmm. We're dealing with kids.
Right.
We're dealing with children.
Yeah.
I think back when we were in the throes of COVID, which was fun. I don't know how many of our listeners remember that. There was a thing called COVID just recently. But among some of the nonsense that was coming down our way was this idea that somebody at the state capitol had of like, well, let's do this. Let's make all 2-year-olds keep their masks on.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you out of your, they won't keep their pants on. How
Right.
do you have a mask on? Like they throw their socks off the moment. It was just so silly, but just even watching all of the team that was here in that time, that was very difficult for everybody. But even through that, they never failed to show up and love the kids and provide the best environment for them. And that was a big deal. And I think that results in another thing I wanted to ask you. So great staff, great facilities, great team, no doubt about it. But we seem to have really great parents.
We do.
Like, we really do.
We do. We do.
Why? How did we get so lucky? Why do we have such rockstar parents?
I mean, I think because we're all rock stars.
Oh, there you go. There it is. That's what I was fishing for.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, come on.
That was-
It's like rock stars attract rock
These
stars.
pants
right?
make me
We
look
just gotta-
fat, comment,
Cool.
right?
Yeah.
No, those are awesome. No, we do.
Gosh, I just feel like we really have a community here of like super supportive parents who are engaged. They're excited to have their, to bring their kids to us. A lot of our daycare families now attend church here and are volunteering. And I mean, I don't know the answer,
You
but
don't
I
have
do
the
feel
answer, I
like
know.
we have amazing parents that
We do.
have supported through a lot of changes and
Yeah.
are showing up and are understanding and are rolling with it and patient and giving us grace during this time or during times of change. And so, again, feeling super fortunate that the families and trust. I think that's what it comes to is they trust us. I mean, maybe that's the bottom line is they know we have their children's best, and they're trusting us that we're doing what we need to be doing.
It's pretty thorough communication, which I think really helps.
Yeah.
Like and I think that goes across the board. Like you get buy-in when you know what to expect.
Right.
And I feel like that's been a huge, from a parent perspective, that's like a huge thing is we kind of know what to expect. There's touch points all the time. There's the ability to communicate with the teacher. There's the ability to, we're getting communicated with. It doesn't feel like anything's ever like hidden.
Right.
And so I think there's that word trust is huge. And I mean, that goes across the board,
Yeah.
like
Absolutely.
in any relationship or any kind of situation, workplace culture, like that's
Sure.
what we keep talking about, like that trust factor, the trust that you can fail, like that, all that kind of stuff I think is really beneficial. But I do think the communication piece is huge. That's why I feel like our kids are safe, like because we know
Exactly.
what to expect.
Right.
And then we know who we can talk to or who's available to talk to if there's a question, and we're not going to get the beat around the bush
Right.
or something like that. So I think that's
Yeah.
a huge kudos and
Yeah.
to you and your team and staff.
And the way they do things with the digital platform that we utilize, it seems that they do a great job of bringing the parents along through the day of their child.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm sure that's a struggle for so many parents is that, you go and you drop your kid off and it's like, well, the next 8 hours of your life are going to be yours. And I'll see you at 5 o'clock tonight or whatever. But the way your teachers interact, I know that there's pictures that are going out within this digital network.
Yeah.
And I mean, when your child eats, when a diaper gets changed, when they're napping.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's got to be a huge deal for a parent. If you're a mom and you're working, on the other side of town to be like, oh, look, here's exactly what's going on with my little girl and here. And that's a big deal.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite things too when I started as a parent. That just to have that constant update of what was happening throughout her day, and then know what to circle back on at the end of the day was really helpful too. Yeah, I think it's a huge tool that we utilize every day.
It's so helpful because we know that no matter what we do here, like so even from like a student ministries perspective, like we only get so many hours, and in the end of the day, though, the biggest impact is still going to take place in the home. And so to set parents up to win, and I think that's what you're saying, is like that platform, there's a lot of times when our son or daughter comes home and like we know, or at least have an update in terms of what we can ask them. It's not how was school good?
Exactly.
Like we can actually be like, oh, it looks like you learned about this today.
Yes.
Can you tell us about this more? And so it becomes this like cohesive, the learning is not stopping, but then we as parents are now supporting that learning too.
Exactly.
Which is, my son hears the name of Jesus, blah, blah. Then he sees me doing, my study time in the morning. And now he's asking more and more about, can I read the Bible or can I do my study? But I know like he's hearing it at school, but then he's also seeing it at home. And so when you begin to see that cohesion happen, like it's an awesome thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, I think you hit it on the head there, like that ability to pick it up as parents and not feel like, I don't know what just happened. Here goes nothing. But it's like, my son comes home with grouchy. Oh yeah, you skipped your nap today, buddy. Like
exactly.
it's like all that little stuff is so huge, so helpful.
Well, and I was going to say, I think again, utilizing that tool of, we do post on there what our maybe Bible story is for the day or what our prayer is. And so it's a great way for parents to, again, kind of accompany that at home or reflect with it with their children, or even just a starting point for, some of our families don't attend Bayview or don't have a home church. So for us to be able to share those little snippets throughout their child's day and on Brightwheel, which is the app that we use, they're able to look at that. And then, maybe it's just a little starting point or a conversation starter for them at home to just, kind of get those wheels turning of like how they can bring that and work that into their lives
Which
a little
is
bit
super
more.
cool.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and give you a little bit of parenting advice as someone who has passed this stage. You're experiencing probably with your oldest. There's going to come a time where you don't get to know what happened in their day.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
Like
we're there.
Like, how does that go with your oldest daughter now? Like, tell me about your day.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. 13's a whole nother world. Middle school's a whole nother world.
What if high school had Brightwheel? Like, what if your pictures of your high school at lunch?
I don't want my parents knowing
they
what high
skipped
school
English
is.
class today. They failed this test today. How brutal would that be?
That can't happen.
Oh, that'd be terrible.
No, and my oldest, she thankfully tells all the things. So we have surprisingly, I don't have run into that much of that. But yes, there is, of course, times where she's just like, that's fine. But sometimes she'll give me the gossip, which is fun.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. It's so good. So what would you say then, real quick? There's tons of good going on. What would you say are some of the current challenges facing, not necessarily just our preschool or our child care center, maybe just in general, like what's some of the challenges right now in the culture and the environment of child care center and preschool?
Yeah, I think burnout rate is kind of one. A lot of teachers get worked long days, long weeks, little support. None of this happens here, but but I think that's a big one. I think burning out and just throwing all of your resources in and then maybe not having the support behind it and not having somebody coming alongside to mentor. I think in some scenarios the opportunity to not be able to fail. I think I came from a public school. I also worked Head Start for many years. And with Head Start we had a ton of support. I actually will rave about Head Start all day long because that truly gave me passion for my teaching. But there are times, there's state standards, there's so many different things that teachers are feeling they have to meet the next expectation. So I think burnout is just a huge, huge one. And then I think we run into, especially daycare world, just the pay. I tell my staff this all the time. I'm like, I would pay you the world if I could, but it's just kind of the industry that we're in right now. So, but we do our best to provide and support our staff and make that hopefully not one of their stressors. But yeah, I think those are the two big things that.
How do you see families or parents, especially, how can they support teachers or staff better? Like, what would that look like, or what does that look like?
Yeah, I think, again, our parents do such an amazing job of really pouring into them and showing their appreciation. Anytime a teacher puts like a wish list out, or even Christmas time right now, I've had multiple parents come to me and say hey, do you have a list of some of your staff's favorite things, or how can we help? How can we provide this time of year? We want to provide a lunch or breakfast. And so, they're constantly supporting and showing their appreciation through all of that. So I think just that continued love that we feel from our parents is huge. And I think that keeps that motivation going for everybody too. Cool. Yeah.
That is super cool. Then probably, last thing, because, I imagine just the whole child care topic probably sparks a lot of listeners. Tough to find childcare in a lot of environments right now. Yeah. Obviously we have a pretty good waiting list at certain age brackets. What openings do we have coming up? What are if someone's listening, hey, I need child, we get emails all the time.
Yeah.
What's our current status with all that look right now?
So right now we actually have some exciting things going on at Bayview. So we are expanding our infant toddler rooms downstairs. So our toddlers are bumping up to a little bit bigger class size, which is going to allow for a lot more of our infant parents that are on that wait list to kind of work through the classrooms and get their child a slot here at Bayview. So that's an exciting thing. Upstairs, our 3 classrooms are continuing to grow. I think we're in this trend too of now where we're seeing, especially in the community that we live in, where a lot of the elementary schools are now providing a free kind of junior kindergarten or like a preschool. So I feel like we're on this path of maybe servicing younger children, I guess I should say. So having classrooms upstairs that maybe range from about 2.5 to 3.5, maybe that early 4s, and then they're going to move on to an elementary school.
Right.
So we've always in the years past have had a true preschool classroom where they're like strictly 4 and 5-year-olds. I don't know if we'll see that trend moving forward, but because
the public schools are offering it for free.
They are, yeah, and of course, and a lot of families can get into their home schools and get their children used to that environment. So, all wonderful things. So I think our trend will be to serve families with younger ages, which I think will be, which will be great too, that's our biggest classroom size right now is at 2.5 to 3.5. So yeah, I think it'll be all exciting things and moving through and getting a lot of these families in that have that younger infant age right now it'll be great. Yeah.
So are you taking applications right now, or is our waiting list just kind of so long right now?
We're full right now. And starting in January, we have those extra slots that we filled. Those are with current families that were on our wait list. So we actually are in June going to be able to add some new families. I'm slowly adding to that wait list. So I think in June will be another big push of getting families off that wait list. Yeah.
Sweet. Good to know. Because I know there for a while it was so bad. We were like, listen.
So bad. Yeah.
By the time you get through the wait list, your kid can drive himself to preschool.
Right.
So it might be pointless. It might be a little wasteful time to do that.
Oh, I know. Yeah. That's
so well, we love what goes on here every day. I know we all do as staff. We love interacting with the daycare staff, with the kids. I just love that there's so much life on campus every single day.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what hallway you go down, what door you go through, what floor you're on.
Right.
There's noise, but it's good noise. It's happy. It's life.
Yeah.
And that's how any big building should be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you are a huge part of that. I know you pour yourself into this, into the business side of it. I know you pour yourself into the staff. But you do this with an incredible level of heart and passion and commitment. And much like you feel with your team, we can't pay you enough to express how valuable you are. And so we just want you to know how much we appreciate that.
Well, thank you.
And just how awesome it is to have you here at Bayview and do what you do. It's a big deal. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
So, hey, it's a big deal that you've joined us today. And so we appreciate you checking in here again. Each and every week. We just look forward to this time we have with you, just spending a few moments. Hopefully it's a moment of encouragement. It's a resource, maybe just learning something you didn't know. And particularly through these times where you're getting to know maybe some of our team a little bit better. So we didn't get deep into Kathleen's childhood or her fears or anything like that.
We'd be here for a while.
We'll have to bring her around for that. That'll be during the Dr. Phil segment of our podcast. So,
is that intervention style?
Yeah.
No.
There you go. Yes. We might have to go Maury Povich, and that would really increase our listener audience, right?
Exactly.
If you haven't done so, subscribe there at the bottom of whatever platform you're listening on. We're available on all the major platforms. That way you never, ever miss an episode. And because we're going to be here each and every week, and we look forward to seeing you next time around.